She never meant for anyone to read the book, not even herself again. Yet 300 strangers would come to claim it, and none of their lives would ever be the same. She never meant to publish the book. It began as a diary, nothing more. Just Michelle, alone in a dim apartment, writing out the mess of her love life. Every raw word spilled onto the page like a confession she couldn't say aloud. Her heartbreak, her healing, her regrets. She didn't write it to be wise, she wrote it to survive. She kept it hidden in a box under her bed, until one day her best friend Grace found it. "Michelle, this isn't a diary. This is every woman's story," Grace whispered, eyes wide. "You have to share this." Michelle resisted, but Grace pressed. And so, with no publisher and no fanfare, she printed just 300 copies. No digital version, no ISBN, no plan, just words, truth, pain, love. Then the calls started. A woman in Italy spent her last euros on a designer dress she couldn't afford, because page 87 told her to be seen. That night, she met the man who became her husband. In Chicago, a married man read the book and took his wife to a Michelin star restaurant, only to overhear her whispering another man's name. In New York, someone quit their job and followed a stranger onto the subway after reading a single sentence. Your next chapter starts when you stop pretending. Not everyone felt it, but those who did, their lives split open. The strangest part? Each person swore the ending was written just for them, down to their star sign. But Michelle's original manuscript had only one ending, hers, the one where love left her behind. That's when she realized the book was choosing people and writing itself. At first, Michelle thought it was a printing error. People were emailing her, sending her pages from their books, lines she'd never written, endings that didn't exist. One woman's copy ended in a reunion at an old cafe. A man's version closed with a whispered apology in the rain. Another reader claimed the book told her to pack her bags and move to Barcelona. Michelle pulled out her manuscript, the one she knew by heart. It had only one ending. She left alone, heart shattered. The end. But the copies being read by strangers around the world, they were changing. Each person swore their version felt too personal, too exact. Not just in emotion, but in eerie detail. One reader wrote, "The final line in mine said, 'That's what Scorpios do. They burn the truth out of you.' How did you know I was a Scorpio?" She didn't. And there was nothing about zodiac signs in her draft. Nothing mystical. Nothing supernatural. Michelle started collecting stories, comparing emails, DMs, voice notes from readers. It was always after they bought the book, not when they borrowed it, not when it sat on a shelf, but the moment it exchanged hands. The book became something else. Grace noticed it first. Every person who felt it, who said it changed their life, mentioned their star sign. Michelle's stomach turned. It couldn't be. She checked 10 different stories, 10 different zodiac signs, 10 completely different endings. She hadn't written those endings. She couldn't have. The book was rewriting itself, but only for those it chose. And always after it was bought. The first time Michelle saw the book in action, it nearly broke her. A woman named Erin showed up at a quiet cafe where Michelle was writing. She looked haunted. Dark circles, no makeup, a trembling hand wrapped around a well-worn copy. "I need to ask you something," she said, sliding into the booth without waiting for permission. Michelle blinked. "Of course. Did you mean to do it?" Erin asked. Page 224. It described everything. My husband, the hotel, the bracelet I found in the bathroom drawer. Word for word. The book told me to check. That's how I knew. Michelle's heart stopped. There was no page 224 in her manuscript. "I'm not mad," Erin said quietly. "I'm grateful, but it ruined my marriage." Michelle opened Erin's book, right there on the table. She flipped through it, breath shallow. It wasn't hers. The title was. The cover. Identical. But the content? It felt like a dream she had never had. The writing style was hers, but the story wasn't. Erin pointed to the final paragraph. It read, "You always knew, didn't you? It's not the lie that hurts. It's pretending you didn't see it. Cancer women don't pretend for long." "I'm a Cancer," Erin whispered. Michelle almost dropped the book. Each person was reading a version shaped just for them. The original book, the one she wrote in pain, was only the foundation. Now it was something else, something living. And for reasons she couldn't explain, the book never changed for her. The stories poured in faster than Michelle could read them. One woman claimed the book told her to take a detour on her walk home, so she stepped into a high-end clothing boutique she'd never noticed before. She bought a gold dress she couldn't afford because page 143 said, "Leo women shine even when they're broken." especially then. She met her future husband that same night. Another woman dined alone at a Michelin-star restaurant for the first time in her life, even though she'd just been laid off. Her book told her to do it, not asked, told. She spent her last paycheck on wine and steak and didn't regret a single bite. 3 weeks later, she landed a job offer from the sommelier she shared a laugh with that night. Others weren't so lucky. A man read the book and found a note on the back cover. Don't trust her silence. Virgo women hide the truth in routine. He broke into his girlfriend's phone. What he found destroyed him. They'd been engaged. Michelle watched the world unravel and reassemble through the 300 copies. Not everyone changed. Some called it overrated or weird. But the ones who felt it, the chosen, became detectives, dreamers, lovers, liars, truth seekers. They acted on instinct that wasn't theirs. It belonged to the book. It made people brave or reckless. And Michelle hadn't written any of those scenes. She started to wonder, had she accidentally written the truth about love for everyone except herself? With every new story, the weight pressed harder on Michelle's chest. A once happy marriage shattered because a husband followed a cryptic clue in the book and found betrayal. Another reader became a private investigator in her own relationship, uncovering truths she never wanted to face. Couples argued over lines written in ink they'd never seen before, their lives tearing at the seams. Some divorced, others spiraled into despair. Michelle tried to distance herself, but the book, her book, pulled her back in. Emails flooded in daily. Why does the book lie to me? My ending was cruel. How does it know? She discovered an unsettling pattern. Those endings, tailored by star signs, weren't just random. They dug deep into personality traits, fears, desires. The book held a mirror no one wanted to look into, and yet some couldn't look away. Michelle's own copy remained stubbornly unchanged. Her pain, her heartbreak, frozen on every page. She started to ask the impossible. Was the book alive? And if it was, what did it want from her? Michelle couldn't ignore the mystery any longer. She gathered every letter, email, and message from readers, sorting them by zodiac sign and ending. Patterns formed like constellations. Capricorns faced brutal truths. Pisces found unexpected forgiveness. Aries ignited reckless passion. Every star sign story was different, but always sharply true to their nature. She reached out to readers, asking them to meet, to share what the book had revealed. Some were hesitant, others desperate. At a small cafe, she met Liam, a Virgo whose life had been upended when the book told him to follow a hunch. It led to discovering his wife's infidelity. The pain was raw, but honest. The book gave me answers I never had the courage to find, Liam said quietly. But at what cost? Michelle felt the weight of the question crushing her. If the book was a guide, was it also a judge? Or worse, an executioner? Then, late one night, Michelle tried reading a copy from a reader. She watched in disbelief as the words shifted before her eyes, molding into the same ending she'd seen from so many strangers, except this time, it wasn't her story anymore. The book wasn't just alive. It was rewriting fate itself. Then came Claire's story. She'd planned a first date before buying the book, a blind dinner with a man she'd never met. She read only a few pages on the train ride to the restaurant. The book told her to go, so she did. The date was perfect. Days later, after finishing the book, a line stopped her cold. Don't go back. The truth will hurt more than silence. Claire canceled the second date. Later, she learned from a mutual friend that the man was married. Claire's copy was one of the rare originals. Meanwhile, fake copies couldn't protect or warn anyone. The divide between real and fake copies grew violent. Arguments erupted online. Some even destroyed fake copies in protest, desperate for the magic only originals held. Michelle felt torn. She wanted to help, but the book's magic wasn't hers to control. The book had taken on a life of its own, and with that came offers Michelle never expected. Strangers emailed with pleas, desperate to buy copies at any cost. Wealthy collectors offered her thousands, even millions, to secure the originals. Some promised fame and fortune if she'd write a follow-up, another book with the same magic. Even before she'd decided if she'd write again, people were paying her in advance. Money arrived in her mailbox, checks, transfers, even rare gifts. But Michelle wasn't a writer by trade. She had never wanted this spotlight. Politely, she declined every offer. No sequel, she wrote back. I don't have the answers you want. This book was never meant to be published. Powerful people kept pressing. They wanted control, influence, to harness whatever force the book held. But Michelle stood firm. The magic wasn't hers to sell. Yet the pressure tightened like a noose. Fans and skeptics alike waited, some hopeful, some suspicious, watching every move. Was she writing again? Would she? Could she? Michelle only knew one truth. The book had changed lives, but it had also changed her. And she wasn't sure if she was ready to let it change her future. The library was full before she even arrived. The signing event was small, local, Bible, just a quiet corner in her city library. But word had spread like wildfire. People came from across the country, clutching their worn copies like sacred objects. Some were trembling, some had tears in their eyes. Others simply watched her, as if expecting her to glow. Michelle sat at the long table, pen shaking slightly, eyes scanning the line. Every person who approached had a story, a divorce that saved them, a love they never thought they'd find, a lie they uncovered just in time. During the Q&A, someone asked the inevitable, "Why only 300 copies?" Michelle took a breath. "Because I never planned to publish it," she said honestly. "It was just my diary, my story. I printed those copies because my best friend wouldn't stop bugging me." The crowd chuckled gently. "I thought maybe a few people might relate. I didn't know it would become this." Another hand shot up. "When's the next book coming out?" Michelle hesitated. "I can't publish something I don't have," she said softly. "This book wrote itself. The rest isn't mine to give." A hush fell over the room. For the first time, she wasn't just the woman who'd written the magical book. She was a mystery herself. And no one, not even Michelle, knew what would happen next. After years of questions and anticipation, Michelle finally released her second book. Only 100 copies were printed, no more. Every time the printing machine tried to make more, it jammed, refused to go further, as if the book itself had a limit. People lined up overnight, desperate to get their hands on the new release. Rumors spread quickly. Would this second book hold the same magic? Could it change lives as the first one did? Michelle faced endless interviews, repeating the truth. "I don't possess magic," she said softly. "I wrote the second book the same way I did the first, honestly, plainly. But it doesn't have that power. I don't know why. Maybe the magic comes after people buy it. It's the book itself that changes, not me." The second book was a regular book, full of wisdom, but no mysterious endings, no tailored futures. It taught people about life's harsh realities, not mystical revelations. Some readers were disappointed. Others found comfort in its honesty. But none experienced the miracles that the first book sparked. Michelle didn't know the truth, that the first book wanted magic. It chose the people it touched. It was alive in a way she could never explain. And the second? It was waiting, watching, silent. Only those lucky 100 knew what it meant to hold a piece of that magic. Or maybe, were they really lucky? The line outside the bookstore stretched long into the night, with hope and mystery hanging in the air. Because some stories don't end when the last page is read, they begin. People rich or poor, desperate or hopeful, had given up heirlooms, pawned jewelry, sold cars, watches, even wedding rings, anything for a chance to touch that second book. The powerful offered billions, believing lightning could strike twice. But Michelle knew the truth now. The magic was never hers to summon or control. It belonged to the book, and like all living things with a soul, it chose who to change. As for the second book, it remained silent. No glow, no whispers, no signs. But books like this, they don't stay quiet forever.